And we're back with TSPN. We'll go right back into our last item. The Shenandoah Road, Fiddletown Road Improvement Project, and I should say here on TSPN. So with that, as I said, 3 public meetings at the Board of Supervisors chambers, 1 meeting at Plymouth City Council. The answers were varied. Many people thought that the sweeping curve, and it was going to take right-of-way away from property that belongs to the Motherlode Land Trust. Some people had a little bit of heartburn about that. The bigger heartburn was that they feel it's too severe, it takes too much right-of-way and creates that 55-mile-an-hour curve. Problem is the Highway Safety Improvement Program grant, that is a federal grant, requires that curve to get up to 55 miles an hour. That money will be reimbursed at 90% to our local traffic mitigation fee program funds. Still, that's $1.5 million. The project estimate cost was about $1.25 million. The estimated cost now is $1.8 million. By the way, the design right-of-way and engineering and right-of-way acquisition is $250,000. So the project at this time is $500,000 over budget. In this spring, the staff will apply to the California Transportation Commission to cover that $500,000 shortfall. With what I said in the last issue about money being tight at the state level, I'm not sure that's going to happen. Some people felt this would be better as a 3-way intersection, so the main roadway that goes to Fiddletown Road now and is 2-way with no stop at the bottom would be abandoned, and primarily that is going to be abandoned because that would add on much more costs with the grade that's involved in the construction process. So it comes down to a T. It would be a stop at coming down from Fiddletown at Shenandoah Road. That's where people would negotiate it. So let me put this up there. So basically, as you come down from Fiddletown Road, there would be a lot of grading there. This is Shenandoah Road coming from Plymouth, but there would be a lot of grading there for a stop sign. Now, some people felt, okay, if you're going to put a stop sign there, slow the traffic down. They feel 55 is too fast, put in 2 more stop signs. Our traffic consultants say that's great, but people don't respect the stop signs. If they're going 55, no matter what the signage is, you don't use stop signs as a way to control or stop traffic in this kind of situation. So I'm just listening to our traffic consultants, although we had a retired traffic consultant who worked for the county in the past or worked for ACTC that asked for an exception to the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. I think that might be warranted, and that might be something we could look for to slow down the traffic. But naturally, and this was brought up by people on this day, by many people, the traffic at this time, that should be a 35-mile-an-hour curve. Traffic is going 55, 65 miles an hour. Unsafe speeds there, guaranteed it's unsafe, but they are going that fast now. What people are worried about is you're going to create a situation where they can go even faster. So with that, we probably still have some work to do on this project, and we'll move forward with it. The other issues coming up today, we had a public hearing on review and possible action on a new marijuana ordinance that would control all of the issues involved with marijuana. And the primary, we were couched with a deadline of March 1st by the state legislature through the passage of Assembly Bill 21. It looks like it's going to be signed by the governor as an urgency ordinance. This would allow counties more time to deal with this. Well, we've got basically the groundwork done, and the board was ready to make a decision today. We had presentations from many people in the audience. Our Under Sheriff Jim Wagner talked about the ordinance and how it does not address enforcement. What was said is law enforcement actually needs that in the ordinance to have the ability to actually confiscate if people are growing too many plants, which it seems like people, in many cases that grow marijuana, grow too many plants. Beyond our ordinance now, which says that 12 plants can be grown per patient, and 24, and that's per patient per parcel, 24 if you have 2 patients that are qualified patients or a primary caregiver. And they have to be a qualified patient, they have to have that recommendation from the doctor that they have a condition where they are eligible to be able to either use marijuana in one way or the other, smoking it, ingesting it by pills, or any other method. But this was a long discussion today. The board showed that they want to be compassionate towards people that have illnesses, that have issues where they feel marijuana might be the best alternative for them rather than using opiates, OxyContin, those types of medications that are very addictive in nature. I could argue with some people that marijuana is addictive, but that's an argument for another day. So issue here was what do we do? We're trying to control dispensaries, which we don't allow in the county, mobile deliveries, which was a new issue that came up, manufacture, cultivation, indoor and outdoor growing. So on this day, the board looked at the ordinance that we recommended. That ordinance was sent to the Amador County Planning Commission. The language was looked at by the Planning Commission, and they've deemed that the county should not adopt it in the form that it was originally intended to be adopted in by the Board of Supervisors. They actually took out the area measuring a maximum of 100 square feet on any parcel. That's what the board wanted as far as where marijuana could be grown. Does that allow you to grow a lot of plants? No. It was testified that from our sheriff sergeant who also serves on the ACNet, our drug enforcement unit for the county, testified that it was probably sufficient ground to grow 2 marijuana plants. He also testified that in Amador County, the average amount of marijuana that is grown is 3.5 pounds average yield per plant. Now, if they are more compressed, they're going to produce less. But it was also testified by someone who had a medical condition that he used 2 ounces per month of marijuana. He did get up later and say that someone with cancer or another condition may need more than 2 ounces, but even if you take the minimum 3 pounds average yield per plant, and you have 2 plants, let's say you get 4 or 5 pounds, that appears to be enough marijuana to satisfy most conditions, I would think. So the board was trying to be lenient without being too lenient, because we were given pictures by our ACNet. This is a marijuana grow in Amador County. And this is, as our ACNet Sheriff Sergeant stated, this is indicative of many of the grows that they're finding that are against the rules and regulations of the county. They say they're finding stashes of 30, 60, 90, 100, 200, 300, and this is what it's all about. There's the bag full of money that they usually find when they go in to areas where there's been a crime committed or where there are excess plants being grown. Just one more picture I want to show you. This is an indoor grow. So that does show that you can grow a significant amount of plants within a very confined area. And I think I'll show you one more picture, because this indicates the size of a marijuana plant that can be grown. They can grow up to 10 to 15 to even 20 feet if they're allowed to. So what we've also seen is a rash of crime here recently in the county. One, a 12-year-old taking pounds of marijuana into a school, not for sale, just to basically show off to the girls at school. Well, he got that from his, I guess it was his father or the person at the house where he was, and definitely illegal there, and he admitted to the officers. There's lots more at home. Another case, 2 gentlemen beat one very severely, all because people knew they had marijuana. They were both patients, had their cards, but they also had a stash of cash and 8 to 10 pounds of marijuana on site. I am to the point that, I want to be compassionate with those that need it, but there's a lot of illegal, illicit activities going on. People that testified did say that some of the laws create black markets, crimes, syndicates, human suffering, and overdoses from pharmaceuticals, and that legalization will happen. Well, legalization might or might not happen, but this issue was addressed today with a 3-2 vote to keep the original language. The board also put language in to control dispensaries, mobile deliveries. So with that, last item, State of Jefferson, the board took testimony on State of Jefferson from both the State of Jefferson proponents and the Keep It California opponents. We looked at an affidavit that was filed with the state in a petition with the California State Senate that basically asked for the formation of the State of Jefferson. They presented a petition to the California State Senate. They presented a declaration and petition to the California State Legislature asking for withdrawal and represented themselves as Amador County. Well, these were citizens from Amador County. They had previously come to us asking us to support the petition. We said we would put it on the ballot. That was the discussion this day. As it turns out, from some of the proponents, they said basically, we don't need you, we don't want your support, we have enough signatures. So what they did is said, take the ballot off the initiative and we'll just do it on our own. With that, we are going to have to end it, and if you want to hear more on this, 223-6470. This is Supervisor Richard Forster. We'll talk to you next time.